Democrats beware. More signs a big red wave is about to sweep them out of office. The Associated Press setting off alarm bells with a new report that finds over 1 million voters switched to the Republican Party last year. The change is happening all across the country and especially in the suburbs where swing voters are backing the GOP. It's really no wonder with how badly President Biden is screwing things up. Just 19% of Americans say things are going well. Okay, Jesse, we've got so many people who are moving toward the Republican Party, is the discussion that we had in the last segment on Roe versus Wade, is that going to level things off a little bit?
I think it could chip away at the wave, but the wave is going to be strong because it's a kitchen table scenario. In the suburbs, there's a big backlash against the school districts for smothering the children with masks and CRT and transgender. And then you have gas prices. You can't zip around in a subway in the suburbs. Everywhere you go, you have to fill up your tank. And then everywhere you turn, you see at a strip mall, you see $4.99 a gallon, $5.17 a gallon. It's like an attack ad against Biden on loop out there. Then also, if you live in the city and you're young, what do you eat? Slice of pizza, you order some Chinese food. If you're a young family in the burbs, you're going to the grocery store and dropping $300 a week.
Interesting.
You remember how much you used to eat when you were a teenager? You go through like a gallon of milk a day.
Yep.
And also baby formula. If you're in the city, you walk 10 blocks, you see a Walgreens, you see a CVS and a Duane Reade. If you're in the burbs, you drive into CVS, no formula, you got to get back in the car, another red light, you pull in, you got to find parking. It's aggravating, but mostly people love the gossip in the burbs, all right? This is not an ideological situation. You know, they vote the burbs for Bush, then they go to Obama, then they go to Trump, then they go back to Biden. It's word of mouth, because the women talk, bring the school situation, the fathers go to the Little League situation, they start gossiping, and then they all get together as couples and they go out to dinner on Saturday night. And after what you talk about Netflix and what the kids are up to, you talk about how inconvenient and expensive life under Joe Biden is. It's socially toxic to be a Biden voter in the suburbs now. You don't want to identify as a Biden person out there.
Is that what you wrote down when you borrowed my pen?
I underlined a few things.
Well, you know what? This issue with Roe versus Wade and how they're trying to gin everything up, Greg, I mean, does that change things? I'm asking the same question I asked to Jesse.
It is kind of an interesting thing. I mean, I've mentioned how Democrats often will only act if there's a political imperative, right? That's why crime went rampant for so long, and then they said, oh, my God, we're losing. In this case, the Republicans are taking a big risk. I think it is, but you've said that it could actually help the Republicans, so I don't know. Sometimes, though, and I've said this many times, the best way to win is to let your adversary lose. And I think, you know, minus the Republican counterweight in all these cities, the Democrats have found new and incredible ways to lose.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like the overreach and the abuse. People missed. There was another lawsuit in New York that was won by the Republicans that stopped non-citizens from voting. I mean, you want overreach? That's overreach. So I think the thing is, I don't want just a red wave. I would like a brain wave. You know, not just Republicans, but a return of some centrist modern Democrats to bring their party back to sanity, because the best country has two parties working together like a mom and dad. They got checks on each other. But the problem is the mom got involved in some crazy woke cult, and they don't know, she doesn't know where she is. She's joined like a crazier version of the Manson family. And then so we just got to get them back in. We got to get them back in and then have a really healthy back and forth between the Republicans. But without a single party, the Democrats have destroyed their own party.
Did the Democrats actually leave the Democrat Party because they were disgusted, given the 1 million additions to the Republicans, or did they want something that the Republicans were offering? Was it hate for their side, or do they think they'd like something better on the Republican side?
You know, I don't know. I have not looked at it all. I know it was over 43 states is the case, so I'd love to. I didn't get a chance to dig into it like I wanted, but you find these in these cycles. To Jesse's point, you'll find voters going from one to the other, and it generally bodes well for that party. This poll was taken, to your point, Judge, I think the outset prior to the decisions on both guns and choice before the courts. Will be interesting. I think that was the premise of your question. I think the biggest driver of it, though, just looking what I was able to see, is what Jesse said from the outset. The curricula and what's being taught in schools and parents, particularly around sex education and sexual orientation, how that is being taught or proposed being taught, I think has turned a lot of families, particularly in the suburbs, off the Democratic Party. Democrats, as we deal with crime and border and we want inflation to come down, we've got to get right on those issues as well with parents.
All right, Dana, wrap it up.
So I was looking at these numbers. So 1 million party switchers for the Republicans. That's really good, right? But there were 630,000 that went to the Democrats, from Republican to Democrat. So to me, that if you do the math,
That's
on that, I'm
370.
like, that's not that, I would think that it would be a lot bigger, right? And maybe it will be. And so we should check this in a couple of months to see. Both parties really need to put a lot of effort into voter recruitment. But look at the contrast in the movement. So the Republicans just elected the first Mexican-born American in history. That party is getting younger and more diverse. The Democrats are looking to see if Hillary Clinton's number still works, to see if she could possibly take on Biden and not have him run again in 2024. That was the story of last week. And the Democrats have put all of their eggs in the Donald Trump is bad basket. But Donald Trump is not on, his name is not on the ballot in 2022. Maybe it will be in 2024, but it's not in 2022. And the Democrats are offering the working class and independent voters no reason to go with them. Dig into that story a little bit and just read some of the quotes from people who made the switch from Democrat to Republican. One of the things was the COVID lockdowns, the vaccine mandates, and the obsession with race in all things. That was one of the guys from Colorado who was quoted saying he was a reluctant party switcher, but if you're a Republican, figure out a way to hold on to those people and you might be able to win some big national elections.
All right, great point. Up next, another violent weekend in liberal cities, but far-left leaders claim they aren't to blame.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.